This is the distributive property. Distributive property. And when you think of the distributive property, you should think of what does the word distribute mean? What does it mean to distribute? For example, used in a sentence, I frequently distribute the quizzes. I distribute the tests. Sometimes I distribute. What does it mean to distribute? Alex?
To give out.
To give out. Or if you think about it like this, if I'm distributing, I am going, okay, here goes the camera, here goes the here goes the here. That's what the distributive property is, and it's based on this thought right here. Take a look at this. Here's our little example that no problems ever look like this, but this could be one. If I have 7, and by the way, the distributive property has to have parentheses. You cannot have the distributive property without a parentheses. Either one side or the other. Okay? If I have this, 7 times, in parentheses, 1 plus 4. If I gave you that problem to do, boys and girls, you probably could do that because how would you go about doing this, Andrew? You would?
Add 1 and 4 first.
Yep, you'd add 1 plus 4 and get 5 in the parenthesis, and then you would multiply and get 35. That's not the distributive property. That's order of operations. You do parentheses first. But the distributive property says this. If you have a parenthesis there, and you have a number outside of the parenthesis, right next to the parenthesis, okay, rather than combining inside, because sometimes you can't, sometimes there's a letter there and they don't go together, you can, here's the key word, distribute that number, pass it out to both of the things inside the parenthesis, and you'll still get a right or correct answer. What is 7 times 1? 7. Thank you. Whoever says 1. What is 7 times 4? 28. And look, if you add 7 plus 28, you're still going to get the 35 that we got when we did put them together in the thing there. Okay? That's the whole basic principle of it. If I saw this problem, I would do it just like Andrew said, and I'd do the parentheses. But the problem is, sometimes there's not. Sometimes it is this. Sometimes it is 7 times a plus 2. And in that case, you cannot, we combine like terms? We probably do. You can't put an a with a 2. They're not the same. They're not both numbers, they're not both letters. But what you can do is you can get rid of this parenthesis by using wah there. Which means you take the 7 and distribute it, multiply it out by both things inside the parenthesis. 7 times a is 7a, and 7 times 2 is 14. You don't get like a really beautiful answer or anything there, but it is what we call simplified a little bit more than that. Distribute it out. And it doesn't matter, people, how many things are in the parentheses. You could do this 12 times. I could have 3 and then have an A plus a B minus a C minus a D. The distributive property tells me I have to take that 3 and pass it out to every term inside that parenthesis. So it would look like this. 3A plus, and you always take the sign. See this plus? It's going to be that plus. 3B minus, because that's what comes next. 3 times C is 3C, minus 3 times D, which is 3D. That is, in a nutshell, the distributive property. What kind of things will they give you? Do they ask you? They'll give you something, well, one of them in the book was this, 3 times W plus M. Now distribute out, pass out the 3, you get 3W plus 3M. For Callum?
Or 3A plus
B minus 3C minus 3D. Is that the answer?
That's all you can do, yep. Nothing else, you cannot make this any easier right now. Okay, you're not solving for something, because if I told you before, the only time you can solve and get a single number answer is if you see an equal sign. There's no equal sign here, so you're not gonna be able to say A equals or B equals or C equals or D equals, it's just this. This is just a phrase. It's a lot, the comparative that in the English language, Caleb, is it's a fragment. You up too late watching the clubs too? Oh, I hate that. Did you take something? Is it a migraine type headache or just a annoying headache? You go lay down somewhere. You'd rather listen to me than lay down? Okay. Now, here we go. Unfortunately, children, this is not all there is. And here's where people go wrong, and I'm going to stop the film and